On this episode of the Girl Talk podcast.
I don't know about you, but I've found that I rarely have one complaint. Once I start complaining, it's opening the door. Oh, here's Complain Land.
Yeah.
Lots of different complaints.
Hello there. You're listening to the Girl Talk podcast, brought to you by our friends at Fox Toyota of East Tennessee. My name is Carol.
I'm Kelly.
I'm Tricia.
And we're here because we're going to complain today. No, I'm kidding. We're
Doesn't
not.
sound like fun.
We're not going to complain.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about complaining, though. You ever done one of those complaining fasts? Have you ever done that? Have you ever heard of that?
Explain that. No,
Okay.
I don't know
All
that.
right.
Is that like
so-
giving up chocolate for Lent?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, you just make it a point to be conscious of, if you complain during the day and you try not to. We do these every once in a while.
Do you put something on your wrist to slap you?
I mean, you could if you
I
wanted
heard that,
to.
like a rubber band, and
Oh,
every
yeah.
time you find yourself
Complain.
complaining, you whack it. I'm not saying it's a
You know
good
what
idea.
you
I just
need?
heard it.
What we need is one of those little like dog buzz collars.
Oh.
And we could give other people the thing. And
I do
every
not
time
want to
you
give you
get-
girls a
control.
buzzer. No way.
I want the
every time I
control.
complain.
No, yeah.
Right. Yeah, that'd be helpful. Otherwise, how do you do a fast? That would be...
Well, you just
notice it.
consciously, yeah. And I think what it does is it makes you think about what's coming out of your mouth before you say it. Because I am so bad to like string out the complaints and just say, and then go, why do I feel so bad? Because like complaining like takes a toll on you. It makes me feel bad after a while. I'm just like, I don't, and we all remember when we had those toddlers and they were sleepy and hungry and they just whined all the time.
draining,
Yeah.
for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about what's at the heart of complaining. What do you think is at the heart of complaining?
I
got the eyes.
Yeah.
I think pride.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because it's like it should be my way. And if
Yeah.
it's not my way for whatever reason, then I'm going to make a fuss about it because I want it my way right
Yes.
Yeah. Jealousy, selfishness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
Was it,
pride?
y'all remember the Rugrats?
Oh, yeah.
now. Yes.
You remember the little blonde girl? Was it Angelica? Was that her name?
Yes.
That's what I
Angelica.
think of when I think of like complaining.
Complaining,
yeah.
yeah.
I want it my way because everything had to be her way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And she was the most miserable one on there.
Yeah.
Not
For sure.
just miserable to the rest of us, but miserable to herself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think
Unhappy.
that's the true test of if you're not happy, maybe it's because you complain all the time. Can I say that lovingly?
Yeah.
We love
Yeah.
you. I love you. But for me, it's a dangerous, slippery slope.
I also think that we complain because we talked in our last episode, I guess, about comparing ourselves to other people and getting jealous of other people, but and not being able to celebrate women so well. But I think a lot of that complaining too comes because we think God owes us something that He gave somebody else. He owes us something different, so we're not really trusting God,
Right.
that He knows what's best for me in my life, and that I know better, and I know better because I think I should have what you have, and so I'm just going to complain about what I don't have.
Okay. Well, all right. Because here's where I get hung up. What is the difference between venting and complaining? Because I think venting is a safe place to bleed. Like, we need those places that we can go and say the things, whatever it is.
Sure.
So that I am a verbal processor. So I process things better when I talk through them. I also do some inside my head, but when I can talk through those things, I kind of, okay, this is where I need to be. So I want to make a distinction between doing that and having healthy conversations and processing through things and complaining. So help me kind of struggle through that.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends too on where, like you mentioned, a safe place.
Yeah.
Where you take your venting to or your complaint to. It needs to be someone who's going to reflect it back to God or reflect it back to a place that doesn't just feed your complaint,
Right.
but is going to help you get over it or get to a healthier place with it,
Yeah.
and understand maybe what's at the root of this particular complaint and help you solve your problem.
Right.
I think that is really powerful. What is at the root of it? What is the motive for what's coming out of my mouth? Is it because I'm trying to figure something out and I'm wanting someone to help me? Or is it that I just feel very negative right now and I want to spew that out? So if you really ask yourself, what am I doing this for? That can make a difference between venting and complaining.
Yeah.
Venting is I'm trying to process this and I'm just going to tell you what's going through my mind right now. And can you help me work through this? Versus, well, this happened and then this happened and this happened. And I don't know about you, but I've found that I rarely have one complaint. Once I start complaining, it's opening the door. Oh, here's complain land.
Yeah.
Lots of different complaints.
Yeah.
And it just kind of spirals me down. So I think the motive is the big difference between venting and complaining. And also, who are you taking it to?
Right.
You mentioned a safe place, like a safe person for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I did a Bible study once that talked about lamenting, which is like basically complaining to God because you need help, want an answer, need support. You're lamenting to God. It's as if you have a complaint. Who do you take the complaint to? The manager of the store, because the manager of the store can help you. You're not complaining to the person who's just working there. So when we lament to God about what's going on, we're doing that in honor of him in a sense, because God, you're the one who can help me with this.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another important distinction as well. And I heard you have to think the difference between asking God questions and questioning God. And so thinking about that as I lament or take my complaints to God.
Yeah.
Well, and I think one of the things that you said that was really important is that complaining isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's how we complain.
Yeah.
Perhaps that is where it becomes even sinful.
Okay. Go into
but
that a little bit.
We are going to have things that we don't disagree, that we don't agree with, that we don't like, people who have wronged us, people who have done something against us, complaints that are legitimate that we really need to either address with the person or address with God or figure out how to deal with it. But it's the complaining that then turns into gossip or turns into, ugliness and just spewing slander about somebody or something that then takes us into that sin territory and not just this is not right. The world is not right. Things are not right. That is a legitimate complaint.
Right.
That's how we handle it. Is where we get, think about Jesus and the money changers in the temple. Yeah. That he had a legitimate complaint and legitimate righteous anger and handled it well. He didn't go and, gossip about the people in the temple and, get all, he handled the situation and brought the complaint to the appropriate people.
Yeah, and David throughout the Psalms, talks about, I bring my complaint to you. I was going to mention that as you were talking about who you take your complaint to. I think we have to be careful because not everybody's safe. And here, I'm going to say this, and I probably will get in big trouble for saying this, but I'm going to say it. Facebook is not a good place to verbally process whatever you're thinking inside your head.
Agreed.
You need to have somewhere besides that.
Agreed.
People that I love dearly say things on Facebook, and I'm like, wow, I wish you had hit my digits before you did that.
Yeah. For sure.
But I think we've become a people behind keyboards anymore, where we've got a platform of how many ever friends, and we think we can just say whatever we want because that's the way we feel, and doggone it, it's my right to say it, and I'm going to say it. Now, all that stuff is true, but the way that you say things and the fact that we can't see your body language or your tone of your voice that sends us a cue on how you're feeling is dangerous territory.
Yeah.
So I say that as a word of caution because I know people who've put things on Facebook and I'm like, she didn't mean that like I'm reading it. I know she didn't mean that like I'm reading it. And you talk to them, they're like, I didn't mean that like you took it. And it's
we
always
should have
too
a
late.
24-hour can't post until you have 24 hours to make sure you want to post it.
One of the things I found about myself when I complain is that I'll complain about one thing and then I'll want to complain about something else. And then I'll complain about something else. And then all of a sudden my filter, and even like with a person, so let's say I have a complaint against Jane Doe, that once I complain about her and I start talking bad about her, then everything I think about Jane Doe is going to be through that filter of the complaint. And then all of a sudden, Jane Doe can't do anything right because all I think about when I think of her are my complaints. And it just becomes uglier and uglier and uglier. And it's the same way with different things. I complain about one thing, you mentioned on Facebook, I complain about one thing I don't like. And then all of a sudden I want to complain about something else. And then somebody's feeding that complaint. And it just becomes this spiral down into ugliness. And I feel bad.
And I'll tell you, the person that you're complaining to about Jane Doe or whatever is also going to be looking at Jane Doe differently now. We can't help it, and it is a slippery slope. If we have to be thoughtful about who we're talking to and the effect that our words are going to have on them.
Yeah, and I think there is we talked about pride being at the heart of your complaint, but I think there's a discontent, which I think you probably could, if you followed that all the way to the root, it's probably pride too, but things aren't going your way kind of thing. And I'll tell you where I see this most often on display is in restaurants. When your tea glass gets empty or you're not waited on as quickly as you think you should be, that's when I really see these things come out to play. And so a friend of mine, we were in a conversation with a group of people, and somebody was saying, we went to such and such, and they didn't wait on, and she said, don't punish the people who showed up for work. And I was like, that is perfect right there, But I think a lot of times we forget that our mission is the same as Jesus, to serve, not to be served, and we forget that in those what we think are unimportant aspects of our day are actually very, very important.
I think that too, about the times I've been the most likely to complain are the times when my to-do list is too big.
Oh yeah.
And when I'm the most stressed out.
Yeah.
And I'll start, snipping at people, and underneath that is the pride of, why are you not helping me accomplish my to-do list? How dare you not wash my dishes? How dare you not, make my life easier? Yeah. And it, again, just all gets back to that ugly sin of pride and
me first.
And I'm on my own throne. Why are you not bowing down and moving heaven and earth to make sure that my life is as easy as possible? And that's when the complaining starts for me.
And why do you think that's dangerous?
Well, I was going to say, because the thoughts we hold on to just grow bigger. Yeah. We'll have a thought, and negative thoughts come through our minds. Okay, they do. Yeah. And they come, and hopefully they pass. But it's the thoughts that we allow ourselves to hold on to that will take us down a road. The things we're thinking about the most just grow bigger. And so it's not... We want to stop complaining before it takes us down a worse and worse and worse road.
And who wants to live in that kind of a worse road? I mean,
nobody.
Who wants to live in a mindset of always feeling yucky and irritated with other people? Negative. That's right.
Some people enjoy
have rainbows
it,
and puppies.
Some people enjoy it, though. I think they make a sport out of it. I mean, I don't think...
I don't want to be
one
of those people.
I think it's a habit. Yeah. I think it can be a habit. Complaining can be a habit, and then it can become a personality. Yeah. You don't even realize, you're the complaining person. And I've had to watch myself on that too, because it's like, this is just kind of how I see the world, and maybe people think it's funny or fun. But if it's negative, it's not going to have a good impact.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally
And I don't want to be around those people either. Yeah. I don't want to be around people that complain all the time. I want to be around people that have joy, and it's the overflow of their heart, that they're smiley and their eyes are happy, and that they are, saying good things and positive things. Those are the kinds of people I want to be around.
Yeah,
for sure. Even when they struggle sometimes too, right? Because I mean, we make allowances for one another in those moments. Right. But yes, that's the goal.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I'm going to go back to the safe place thing again. I think because I have friends who that. They know when I'm calling, I'm like, I need to just come over for a little bit, and I sit in front of them, or I say we need to catch up, and I say those things. They believe the best about everybody involved in the situation. I think that when you talk about a safe place, that's a safe place. Yeah, that's how you judge if it's do they believe the best in everybody, and that's hard to do sometimes, given your experience. But when you go to somebody with something like that, you said it best, it's always best to go to God first and let him help you process through. But if you do need to verbally process through with people, just make sure it's a safe place, because that's how things get sideways real quick. And here's the thing. You can say, I'm sorry. We've forgotten as a society how to say, I'm sorry, I think.
I had to do that twice.
Yeah.
2 days ago.
I do it.
I made a big mistake and I had to go and apologize twice. And, it was hard, but it was so much better.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah. Because we're not going to be right all the time. So if you've been a complainer to somebody, maybe you need to make a phone call today and say, hey, I'm sorry. I've complained quite a bit. I'm going to try to do better. Will you help hold me accountable? There you go. Community is where you will find out if you're a complainer or not. If people avoid you on aisle 3, you might be a complainer, right? Yeah. Just I think for us as women, we tend to, I'll probably get hate mail about this too, but we talk on autopilot sometimes, and we just don't even really think about the weight of our words.
Sure.
And so I think part of it is just being conscious of, instead of saying, man, there was so much traffic today, think about how you could say that in a positive light. I had a car to get to work today. I didn't have to walk.
And a lot of other people are out and about. Isn't that nice?
A lot of, because we've been home.
Yes.
We've been home for 2 years, basically.
Right, yeah.
So, I mean.
And we can afford gas for a minute.
Also for a hot minute.
Yeah. Well, and God's word tells us to not complain.
Yeah.
He says in Philippians 2:14, do all things without grumbling or questioning. Ephesians 4:29 says, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouth. James 5:9, do not grumble against one another.
Right.
Aren't we supposed to do what God's word says?
That's exactly right. That's why she's a theologian on this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dear Lord, please give me the things to do to be able to actually live out your word. May
please.
that be our prayer, because we have all kinds of great, commands from God.
Yeah.
It's the living it out that takes a lot more.
Yeah. And if you struggle with it, we do too.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Grace.
We've been saving you a seat. Yeah.
Right.
And we're here for you. We'd love to hear your tips, your tricks on how you keep a handle on that complaining. And we would love it if you'd email us, girltalk@thelightfm.org. We're also available on the Facebook pages. So stop by and say hello. We love you so much. Want to say thank you to our friends at Fox Toyota of East Tennessee for sponsoring today's edition of the Girl Talk podcast. We could not do it without your help. Thank you, folks. And we'll see you next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.